A former Liberty Hill Academy student alleges that he was assaulted for 5 consecutive weeks at the school. And now, the Peper Law Firm has filed a lawsuit against the Charleston County School District. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with attorney Mark Peper one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And listen to this interview later on iHeartRadio. Mark Peper.
Quintin,
How are you?
good, man.
Good to
Always
see
great
you.
to see you.
Likewise. I know that I want to bring you back on Quintin's Close-Ups to talk about a press release that you just put out there. And it's a lawsuit filed after a student was repeatedly assaulted. And, of course, the Charleston County School District, according to you all, destroyed most of the evidence, or really all of the evidence according to this release. And I want to read a portion of that press release. It says this: the Peper Law Firm, PA, and David Hill Law Offices filed a lawsuit this morning on behalf of a former 6th grade student at Liberty Hill Academy after he was repeatedly assaulted by a fellow student while attending and on the way home from school. The physical assault started on his second day of school and continued for 5 consecutive weeks.
Sad. Very sad. You know, when we drop our kids off at school or put them on the bus to go to school, we expect, rightfully so, that they're going to be able to learn in a safe environment. And far too often in this school district and others around the country for that matter, we're seeing a very carefree attitude with regards to student safety. And that is extremely concerning to me personally as a parent, but also as a lawyer representing victims over and over again. Just shouldn't happen.
And you talk about parents. Obviously, the parent of that particular student who was allegedly assaulted, she says this quote: they promised they would make sure he was safe, and nothing. It still happened every day. He would dread going to school and would beg me every day not to make him go. This school is not safe or conducive place for learning, period. I failed my son when I kept sending him back to school after I trusted them to keep him safe.
Yeah, and that's the part that, again, as a parent, bothers me the most is if we instill our children to this learning, okay, center, you agree to keep them safe. An incident happens, okay, and we as a parent, we notify you of that. And you promise back to us, ma'am, it won't happen again. We're going to make sure that our policies and procedures are followed. We're going to make sure that he no longer has any contact with these students. We're going to look at the video to see what we can do better next time. If you promise me that as a parent, then I'm going to trust that you're going to keep that promise. And so when you don't, and therefore I send my child back to your school and to your care, and he continues to get beaten and assaulted, that's a you problem, okay? You created that problem, school district, because you didn't either put the policies and procedures in place, first of all, but if you did, you didn't follow them, and then you turned around and said, we'll take care of it, we'll handle it, and you didn't.
5 consecutive weeks. On what particular days was he allegedly assaulted?
Almost every single day he was bullied, okay? But there are 5 specific instances where he was physically injured as a result of being assaulted by various students, one in particular. And what's crazy to me, as we allege in our lawsuit, is on this 4th physical assault, right? The kid, and only then, was finally suspended from school. The kid shows back up the next day. The principal takes him to the principal's office, tells him to sit down, and goes on about his business. Well, guess what the kid does? The kid runs back out because he's not being supervised, finds my client, and proceeds to physically assault him again. All of this is caught on camera. None of it still exists. Now, why is that? It's very clear in their procedures that they have to keep all videos for at least 10 days. And then if a report is filed, they have to keep it until the matter is resolved, legal or otherwise. Every single instance that we've alleged in our suit, a report was filed, not only by the principal, not only by the parent, but by the police department as well. So where did the video go?
Do you all have any copies of the actual reports?
We have all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, we have all of them. And that's why we won our initial lawsuit regarding the Freedom of Information violations is we put them on notice to preserve them. Okay, they didn't. They were already supposed to preserve them per their own policies and procedures. They didn't. And so now we're going to go to trial on a case where we have the burden of proof to prove that these matters happened. The easiest way to do that would be to show the jury the video. Well, guess what? The videos don't exist because of their complete and utter disregard for their own policies and procedures. That just can't happen.
And I know in the lawsuit, obviously filed against the Charleston County School District, who are involved in this lawsuit?
Well, under the Tort Claims Act, you can't sue individual employees. Okay. So anytime, this is for your viewers too,
Sure.
The school district is sued because they are the only people by law that you can sue if you're alleging an act or an omission of one of their employees. Okay. What I think we're going to find out through the litigation is that it started with the administration simply not caring enough about this school, and then putting people in place at this school that either weren't properly trained or certainly didn't follow the policies and procedures that were in place regarding supervising children. I think we'll find that it goes all the way down the chain within the administration, starting quite candidly with the principal.
And have you gotten, I don't know, for lack of a better word, I don't know anything but laws, but
Yeah.
have you gotten, like, say, a deposition from most of those folks?
Not yet. So
Okay.
that's why we went ahead and filed the lawsuit, so that we can start that process of
Okay.
deposing people and figuring out what went wrong, how it could have possibly happened, and is it still happening? That's another concern we have too, is that Liberty Hill Academy, as you know, is a mixture between what used to be at Daniel Jenkins, all of the disciplinary kids that had been kicked out from their home school, severe discipline problems, okay? In 2016, the school district decided to take those kids and place them at Liberty Hill along with the students that were already there, which were special needs students, students that had severe learning disabilities, okay? That in and of itself creates a conflict, or a potential conflict, right? Which then heightens the duty for the school district to properly supervise these students, okay? And that's what I think they fail to understand, is that when you take disciplinary students, mix them with special needs students, okay? You got to supervise them to begin with. But when you take those types of students that essentially is a recipe for at least a potential problem, then you have a heightened duty to properly supervise them. And none of those procedures were put into place.
How many students are altogether at Liberty Hill Academy?
A couple hundred. Yeah, a couple hundred. I mean, you're not talking about a whole lot. They have video cameras all over the school, okay? I don't know what good video cameras are if you're just simply going to erase videos after 10 days and violate your policy and procedures, but there are limited procedures in place. The issue is that there's no supervision, okay? I mean, you're getting not only students assaulted, but you're getting teachers assaulted by other students, right? I mean, it's just it's a free-for-all out there right now, and it doesn't seem to be a very high priority for the school district. Maybe that changes by us bringing this to light.
And I forgot to mention this, I hope this is correct, but I believe that there are bus services involved with this lawsuit as well?
Yeah, so a couple of the assaults took place after school was over and on the bus rides home, okay? Mm-hmm. The issue, though, is that the school district can't absolve their liability by just simply taking the kid and putting them on a bus, okay? They contract with these services. Right. The duty goes on. I mean, you got to make sure the kid gets to school safely and then gets home safely, especially if you know that there's already a pattern or a propensity of violence shown against the student by others.
I know that you talked about this kid being allegedly assaulted almost every day for 5 consecutive weeks. How many times was he assaulted on the bus?
On at least, well, I would say daily, to be candid with you. Physical assaults where he sustained injuries at least 3 times.
What were those injuries?
Black eyes, abrasions, being pushed down and bruised. I mean, he was just flat out beaten on multiple occasions, not necessarily by the same student,
Okay.
which is concerning in and of itself. There's going to be a bad apple, I get that. But when you're creating an environment where the custom and culture therein is that everybody can just have physical altercations at will, why would you want to send your kid to a school like that? And that's what our client had to make that decision. She had to pull her son out,
Yeah.
and just say, this is not a conducive learning environment. And she's right.
How many students in total were assaulting your client?
I think what we'll end up finding out through additional reports is somewhere between 5 to 10 of the same crowd within the same crowd, all led by this one individual student who partook in a majority of the beatings. There's just not enough supervision.
Do you by chance know the policies and procedures when it comes to the Charleston County School District and protecting kids and teachers?
Yeah, we have all those. I'll be happy to share them with you. I mean, the issue though is if you're not going to follow your own policies and procedures, then you just don't have any. Okay, so don't tell me that, well, we have policies in place and we have procedures in place. Well, I understand that. Okay, but if you're not following them, then you don't have them. And that's our position in this case, is that we agree that in writing, yeah, they look fine. But if you don't follow them, then they don't exist.
How is the mother and the son doing these days?
The son's doing better, because he's in another school and he's not getting bullied and beaten on, on a daily basis. The mom's struggling because, they have to switch schools. I mean, the kid had been there 2 days, right, in sixth grade. And look, you remember sixth grade. Sixth grade's tough, right? Okay, but it ain't supposed to be that tough, right? You had to pull him out. So a month or two in, his goal is to make as many friends as he can, and then he's going to start all over because everybody he comes into contact with is picking on him and beating him, literally.
Did he have any problems like this before in any previous Charleston County schools?
No. So I mean, he's got a bit of a learning disability.
Okay.
All right, and so school has always been tough for him. Right, but that's even more reason why it was so imperative to get him in an environment where he could be comfortable. Right, I mean, if you're trying to get your kid to learn, the easiest way to do that is to give him a loving environment where he's being supervised and properly cared for. You don't just simply let him run around the halls and look over his shoulder wondering if he's going to get beaten again. That's not the way to educate our children.
Attorney Mark Pepper, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Great to see you.
Likewise.